Good afternoon. Welcome to the Berkeley County Board of Education meeting this Tuesday, October 26, 2021. I call the meeting to order. I declare a quorum of members are present. Mr. McQuillan is on the telephone with us, and the media has been notified. We need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner, a second from Ms. Wofford to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. McQuillan's was an affirmative, so we have 7-0. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting of October 12, 2021?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Littleton, second from Ms. Marone.
Tanner.
Ms. Tanner. Ms. Marone was looking at me. To approve the minutes of the October 12, 2021 meeting. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The motion is approved by a vote of 7-0. Do we have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner, a second from Ms. Littleton to enter into executive session. The stated purposes of the executive session are to be a discussion of the employment, appointment, assignment, demotion, discipline, or release of an employee or employees as needed. 2C, a legal update regarding a pending, a threatened, or potential claim or other matters covered by attorney-client privilege. And 2D, 3 student expulsion appeals. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call a question. All in favor of entering into executive session, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it by a vote of 7-0. We are in executive session. We shall be back at 6:30. To regular session.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Wright, a second from Ms. Littleton to return to regular session. Is there any discussion? All in favor of return to executive session, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Turn me down, Scotty. I didn't hear any nays, so Mr. McQuillan is on, right?
Yeah, he's in the affirmative.
Motion of
And Dr. Wigfall's on the line too.
Okay. Dr. Wigfall and Mr. McQuillan are on the line, so we have a vote of 8-0 to return to regular session. And for the record, no action was taken in executive session. At this time, I'd like to turn the program over to Ms. Kirsten Tanner. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, or the National Anthem, and a moment of silence.
This evening, we will have the College Park Middle School Knights Quintet, directed by Miss Jessica Seymour. Miss Seymour, where are you? Oh, there you go. They will be playing our Star Spangled Banner for us this evening.
please be seated. Thank you. Next part of the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, is citizens' comments. I don't have the comment sheet. Oh, it's on the back of all of them. Okay. Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Okay. In order to conduct the meeting in an orderly and efficient manner, we ask that you honor the following guidelines. Stakeholder comments are welcomed and encouraged. However, the board will not take immediate action on public comments at this meeting. Any person wishing to address the board must register prior to the meeting. Comments must be regarding programs, policies, or procedures. Comments regarding complaints against employees other than district-level executives or references to students other than the child of the speaker will not be heard in public session. Groups addressing the same topic should select one speaker. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The board chair reserves the right to allot additional time or halt public comments that do not adhere to the guidelines. Our first speaker is Pat Garfano, and their comment is, introduce myself as local international exchange coordinator, high school exchange year. Welcome, Ms. Garfano. Yes, please go to the podium and speak directly into the microphone.
Good evening, Chairman Barrow and fellow Board of Ed.
Hold on a second. Can we get somebody to assist her with the microphone, please?
You can't hear me?
Not yet. We're going to get somebody to help you.
Okay, hope that works now. Is that better?
That's not on.
No?
Is he still working?
Is it working now?
Nah.
Yes, okay. Hi, good evening. I'm Pat Galfano. Chairman Barrow, thank you for allowing me to make my comments. Thank you
ma'am.
to the board. I'm Pat Galfano. I am an international exchange coordinator for EF High School Exchange Year. And EF High School Exchange Year is the largest J1 Department of State J1 visa program for high school exchange students coming to spend high school year in America. Right now, EF is the largest exchange program under the Department of State sanction out of Boston, but currently we have 2,000 students attending high schools across America starting this September, and they come in and stay with a host family, attend a year of high school in our public schools, and it spreads American diplomacy and becomes a very great way to share our corner of America with an exchange student. So with that program, we need two pieces. We need a host family and a school to accept our students. So I'm here tonight to ask the board if I could have permission to enroll J1 student visas in the Berkeley County High Schools for the coming school year. I have a host family for January, and of course in September we'll be bringing another 2,000. The January students one semester. The students speak English, they're fully vaccinated. They will have COVID vaccines too, and they do speak English. So I just wanted to bring the program to the attention of the school board and ask permission for enrollment and a contact person to follow up for further discussion about the program for EF High School Exchange Year. So at some point, could someone contact me, or can I contact?
What we'll do is refer it to the administration, and they'll have your information, and someone will contact you.
Somebody will contact me.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. From the administration, from superintendent's
From the
office?
superintendent's office.
Oh,
Yes,
great.
ma'am.
I'll look forward to that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dr. Chris Hanley on medical mandates. Welcome back, Dr. Hanley.
Mr. Barrow, members of the board, Mr. Jackson, thank you again.
Thank you.
So as I'm sure you're aware, the three manufacturers who currently make the COVID shots in this country, or for this country, are currently doing studies trying to get an emergency use authorization for children down as low as 5 years old. Wow. I'm sure you also know that this technology has never been used in humans before to make vaccines. It's only been used in small numbers in cancer studies in treating cancers in humans ever before, with mixed results. New medications generally take at least 10 years to come to market, and sometimes 15 or more years before they actually make it to the market. You know, Operation Warp Speed just started in March of last year, and although Pfizer did not participate in that, they participated in a similar German program. In April, they started giving their shots. In August of last year, they published their phase 1 and phase 2 data, and then in November, they applied for, and in December received their emergency use authorization, and shots started going out almost immediately after that. Today, phase 3 trials are still ongoing. For anyone who has received a current COVID shot that's available, whether you know it or not, you are enrolled in the largest phase 3 trial ever in history. When we look at other medications developed back in the late 40s and early 50s, there was a medication that was developed, brought to market by a German pharmaceutical in 1956. This medication, because it was nearly impossible to overdose, was thought to be safe and effective. Don't those words sound familiar? Safe and effective. In 1958, a UK company brought the same medication under a different name, and it was marketed, quote, with complete safety to pregnant women and nursing mothers without adverse effects on mother or child. It took 5 more years to connect thalidomide with the birth defects that it was causing. And it wasn't until 1962 that the UK government issued its warning. We have no idea the long-term effects of these current shots. Our long-term data for the currently available shots is 18 months, not the 10 years that it took us to figure out what happened with thalidomide. When we think about these current shots, if we give them to children, it might not be until they have children that we even know the real long-term effects. Are you willing to run that experiment on your children or your grandchildren? I, for one, am not. For a disease that almost never is deadly for children. It's very rare. So, as you no doubt will be pressured by many groups, as these become available for children under emergency use, you will be pressured to mandate or to strongly try to force these shots. I beg you to please resist with everything you've got. I will be sending the same information to the governor's office, to DHEC, and to the Attorney General as well.
Thank
and
you,
I've
Dr.
got
Hanley. You've expired. Your time
Yes, sir.
has expired.
I've got additional information, extended remarks that I'd like to give you after the meeting if I
Yes,
could,
sir.
with references.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jay King. Jay King on comment of public school versus the alternative. Welcome, Mr. King.
Good evening, members of the board, parents, and fellow concerned citizens. My name is Jay King, and I live in the Montague Plantation area of Goose Creek. I've come to the conclusion that our time is being wasted here in front of the school board and in front of school boards across the country. These school boards are going to do what they want regardless of the will of the people. I know I don't want my children or your children being taught how to be a racist or taught how evil they are because they are born with their skin a particular pigment or taught to hate their country. But we still need to educate our children. I've been looking into alternatives and found that homeschooling is actually a pretty good way to go, and if we all do it, it could be less expensive in the long run. We could do this individually or set up homeschool pods where several neighborhood kids are taught by one parent. If everyone officially pulls their children out of the public school system, the schools no longer get the tax money for our kids. If not as much money is being spent, then not as much money should be taken from us in the form of property and other local taxes. We can use that money to educate our children ourselves. If the public school system goes bankrupt in the process, then that's just a bonus, as they will no longer be teaching other children how to be racist or to hate our country. The school boards around the country can continue to meet if they want, but it won't matter because the public schools will be closed. A very good resource for homeschooling is 4onemore.com. That's the number 4, ONEMORE.com. They have all the information needed to meet any and all local and federal education requirements, from the legal requirements for each and every jurisdiction to required and suggested curriculum, and even how to work with some learning disabilities. While they suggest you take some time to plan things out in advance, and they lay out exactly how to do that, they do give instructions on how to start very quickly if it is necessary to do so. This means that if we wanted, we could get this started almost immediately, definitely by the end of the semester. They suggest if we need to start the homeschooling process quickly, to focus on reading, writing, and math, as these are the tools of learning. Also, don't forget the public library. Our tax dollars paid for it, definitely make use of it. Another recommendation is that you not jump straight into a rigid school-like structure at home after you have withdrawn your children from public school. Rather, that you start by deschooling, which would include a softer, more flexible schedule of field trips and reading and physical activity included. Finally, organization and routine will be our biggest asset and dramatically increase the likelihood of successful homeschooling experience. One of our goals as parents is to raise smart, healthy, knowledgeable kids that are prepared to take care of themselves as they approach adulthood. Unfortunately, our current public school and collegiate system are woefully lacking. The entire educational system has become a huge waste of money, and our children are not being educated in a way that will allow them to provide for themselves or enable them to contribute to the betterment or advancement of America. If we want them to learn how to be offended, then by all means, keep them in public school. But if we want them to get an actual education that is worth anything, then we need to remove them from the public school system. The sooner the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Our last speaker is Mr. Terry Hardesty on National and South Carolina School Board Association.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Dixon. There's been a lot in the media recently about the National School Board Association, where they had sent a letter to the, we found out the White House first and then the Attorney General, sort of characterizing a lot of people in this country that come speak before school boards. And the National School Board Association got a lot of flack for it, and they wrote a memo to all of their board members, and I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to read one line out of it, or a couple. On behalf of NSBA, we regret and apologize for the letter. To be clear, the safety of school board members, other public school officials and educators, and students is our top priority, and there remains important work to be done on this issue. I was stunned when I read it, because this school board, since the time before I was on it, the time I was on it, and since, has been all about what's the best way we can give a quality education to all of our students. Certainly safety is a concern, but the number one issue is the education of our young people. So I'm rather dismayed at the National School Board Association. So with that, I have a request, and I can do this in a FOIA form if you would like. I would like to know the total number of Berkeley County School District board members who have, including their names, who have attended any NSBA convention, symposium, or other similar event for the last 4 years. I would like the total cost of that. I would like the total amount spent directly to the NSBA or any of their affiliates for any of their programs for the last 4 fiscal years. And number 4, I would like the total amount spent with the South Carolina School Board Association for their last 4 fiscal years including the current year. I would also ask that the superintendent, when he thankfully is now responding to citizens' comments, do this in a more timely manner than the day or two right before the next meeting, so we have time to kind of digest your response. And I appreciate your response, I really do. And if I need to, I can send this in the FOIA. I would also ask this board to strongly consider their relationship with the South Carolina School Board Association and discover whether they are supporting the kind of things that the National School Board Association is doing, because that's a total waste of our resources out of this state. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is any action as required for items from executive session.
I just wanted to make a clarification that our superintendent is not Dixon, it is Deion Jackson. Just wanted to clarify that.
Are we doing students first, sir? Where do we?
Mr. Chair, I move to accept the personnel recommendation of the administration as discussed in executive session.
We have a motion from Ms. Wofford to accept the recommendation of the administration in executive session. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Ms. Tanner. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it unanimously by a vote of 8-0. The next is committee assignments. I'm going to,
So we still have student appeals.
oh, yes, student appeals.
In the,
First of all, let me just say, we have 3 student expulsion appeals. We'll hear the motion on student number 1.
student number 1, I move to extend a virtual option.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner for student number 1 to grant the appeal and assign the student a virtual option. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second from Ms. Wofford. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Ayes have it by a vote of 8-0.
With the student number 2, I move to grant the appeal and offer alternative school.
Second.
We have a motion from student number 2 from Ms. Tanner to grant the appeal and assign the student to the Berkeley Alternative School for the remainder of the school year, seconded by Ms. Littleton. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it by a vote of 8-0. In the matter of the 3rd student expulsion, I'll entertain a motion.
With the matter of student number 3, I move to deny the appeal.
Ms. Tanner has made a motion to deny the appeal of the expulsion of student number 3. Is there a second? I'll second that motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion of denying the appeal of student number 3, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Nay.
The nays have it by a vote of 6-2. I'll entertain another motion in the matter of student number 3 expulsion.
Mr. Chairman, in the matter of student number 3, I move that we grant the appeal and assign the student to alternative school.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Wofford, a second from Mr. Wright to grant the appeal of student number 3 and assign the student to the remainder of the year to the Berkeley Alternative School. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it by a vote of 6-2. The motion carries. Next, we will be in committee assignments. Actually, I need to assign a temporary assignment to in academics and innovation, as Ms. Littleton is the chair. I'm going to assign Ms. Tanner as a member of the committee for the purposes of conducting this business. And at this time, I will recess the regular meeting for the Academics and Innovation Committee meeting by Ms. Littleton. Ms. Littleton, you're recognized.
I'm calling the Committee on Academics and Innovation to order. I declare there's a quorum of committee members present, and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the
Ms.
freedom of...
Littleton, you're going to have to speak in. They can't hear you. Can you turn that up? Can you all hear out there? We're not having can you hear me? Okay.
Can you hear me at all?
It's the fans.
Yeah, it's the fans.
Okay. I'll have it nice and close. Okay. I'm calling the Committee of Academics and Innovation to order. I declare there's a quorum of committee members present, and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. The first agenda item is the Head Start Budget Expenditure Report for August 2021.
We didn't, ma'am. We didn't approve the agenda. I make a motion to approve the agenda for Committee on Academics and Innovation.
Do we have a second?
Krista, are you seconding the agenda?
Second.
There is a second by Ms. Wigfall.
We have a motion by Ms. Tanner and a second by Dr. Wigfall to approve the agenda. All in favor of this motion reply by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion's approved by a vote of 3-0. The first agenda item, the Head Start Budget Expenditure Report for August 2021 and Head Start Credit Report for August 2021. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the Head Start Budget Expenditure Report for August 2021 and Head Start Credit Card Report for August 2021.
Second. Motion's made by Ms. Tanner and a second by Littleton. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay. It's approved by 3-0. The second agenda item is the 2021-2022 Berkeley County School District adoption of state textbooks. Dr. Dixon, you're recognized.
Good evening, Committee Chair Ms. Littleton, Superintendent Jackson, Board Chair Mr. Barrow, and school board members. On August 4th, 2021, the South Carolina Department of Education approved funding for multiple textbooks. The Academics and Innovation Department then organized Berkeley County School District committees of teachers selected by their principals to review the new options available from the State Department. After a thorough examination to ensure alignment with standards and instructional models, each school submitted a vote for their selection. Currently, the textbooks in use are from previous adoptions. According to board policy IFAA, the adoption of textbooks in the Berkeley County School District will be made by committees composed of classroom teachers, subject area coordinators, and directors based upon the recommendation of the principals of the schools. The adoption process was supervised by the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, as well as the Chief Academics of Innovation and Innovation Officer. All textbooks must be approved by the board. We bring to you for consideration the following textbooks for a first committee reading, and instead of the textbooks are in the back, categorically, they're textbooks in the categories of science and health, English language arts, social studies, fine arts, and career technical education.
Thank you. We have a
Ms.
motion?
I have a question. So have all of these textbooks gone through our local process, and our teachers have gone through it, and everything's gone through our local process as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So did we do a committee of teachers and parents?
So the policy is the committee of teachers, subject area coordinators, and then it brings to the board so they're on display so parents can come and review.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
You have a question, Dr. Wickfall? Hang
I
on.
do. Did he state that parents were involved in review of the books as well? I didn't hear that part.
So the public option is for when we're at the last school board meeting that parents or community members can come to the school board room to review the textbooks, and we left comment cards or a
Did you hear
comment
that?
survey so they could
Yes.
make comments.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, I make a motion to approve, are we good on discussion? I'm sorry. Make a motion to approve the committee recommended books selected by teachers as presented for first committee reading.
Second. A motion's been made by Ms. Tanner, seconded by Littleton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay. Dr.
I'm
Wickfall
not
has
for
chosen
or
to
against. I
abstain.
just would like to abstain from voting.
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
I said I'm not for or against. I just would like to abstain from voting.
That motion passes 2-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the committee meeting and return to regular scheduled board meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second. Motion by Ms. Tanner, second by Littleton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Motion passes 3-0, and we're back to board meeting.
I declare we are now returning to regular session to hear the standing committee reports. Ms. Littleton, you are recognized for the Committee on Academics and Innovation.
Mr. Chairman, the Committee on Academics and Innovation met just now. On recommendation of the committee, I move to approve the Head Start Budget Expenditure Report for August 2021 and Head Start Credit Report for August 2021.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries by a vote of 8-0.
Also, on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve the committee recommended books selected by teachers as presented for first reading.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? We do have Dr. Wickfall
One abstention.
an abstention. So the vote was 7-0.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Next is the Committee on Finance and Capital Planning. Mr. McQuillan is on the phone, so Mr. Wright is going to assume that responsibility. Mr. Wright?
Mr. Chairman, the Committee on Finance and Capital Planning met on October the 12th, 2021, and on the recommendation of the committee, I move to approve the out-of-state travel as presented.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it by a vote of 8-0.
Also, on the recommendation of the committee, I move to approve the recommendation to appropriate funds for schools and administration incentives as presented.
We have a recommendation from committee and no second is required. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, respond by saying nay. The ayes have it by a vote of 8-0.
Also, on the recommendation of the committee, I move to approve award of IFB number 61521-22 for windows coverings to Youngstown's Shade and Aluminum for the initial term of 1 year with an estimate annual value of $20,000 with the option to renew for 4 years, additional 1-year term for a potential term contract value of $200,000.
We have a recommendation from committee and no second is required. Is there any discussion? Ms. Wofford?
I'm sorry that I wasn't here last time to ask questions about this, but is this allocated to a specific school? I'm sorry, I don't even know who I'm asking. Is this allocated to a specific school or is this ongoing maintenance
It is ongoing maintenance, but the initial projects under the contract shall be for the new classrooms at Cane Bay Middle and Sangaree Middle Schools.
Okay,
New construction.
very good. Thank you. That's what I needed to know.
So that was not in the initial bids for those projects? Evidently not.
And it's only for $20,000.
It's like furniture.
Yeah. That was a soft cost? Okay, all right. Where am I?
All in favor?
Yeah, all in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Ayes have it by a vote of 8-0.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report for tonight.
Next is a report from the Committee on Human Resources, Chair Kirsten Tanner.
Mr. Chairman, the Committee on Human Resources met on October 12, 2021, and on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve second reading of policy ADF, District Wellness, as presented.
We have a recommendation from committee and no second is required. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
We have a vote of 7-1. The motion carries.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve second reading of policy EF, Food Services, as presented.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries by a vote of 8-0.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve the second reading of policy EFR, Food Services, as presented.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it by a vote of 8-0.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, ma'am. Next on the agenda will be the superintendent's report. Mr. Jackson.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, board members, members of the audience, cabinet. Before I get into my normal report, we have a guest with us with a familiar face for a surprise recognition. If I can get Dr. Lee Westbury from the Citadel to go to the podium, please, for this recognition.
Welcome home, Dr. Westbury.
Thank you very much. It's been a long time, but I'm always here.
So good to see you.
You as well. Superintendent Jackson, Chairman Barrow, members of the board, cabinet, and parents and community members, it is my pleasure tonight to bring an award from the Citadel. Every year, the Zucker Family School of Education awards 4 alumni Wall of Fame awards. One of those awards is always given for an outstanding STEM educator. We give one for an outstanding contribution to educational policy. There's one for outstanding alumni. And then there is one for the outstanding contribution to education in the Lowcountry. And it is my pleasure this evening to present the award for the outstanding contribution to education in the Lowcountry to Dr. Glenda Levine. As she makes her way up, I'll just say a few things about Dr. Levine. From being a math teacher to an assistant principal to a principal to the chief human resources officer to the chief diversity officer, she works tirelessly to ensure equity and inclusion for all students in Berkeley County, and we are very proud to call her a Citadel alumna.
Yay.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. One more time, can we please give a round of applause for Dr. Levine, please? As I understand, she joins a pretty distinguished group.
Including you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, thank you for that. As many of you are aware, we're in the process of completing expansion projects at Cane Bay Middle, Sangaree Middle, and a new construction project in our Carnes School. We received a special request for an update on those projects, and so at this time, I'd like to defer a portion of my superintendent's, the time devoted to my superintendent's report to Mr. Joe Nathan Roberts, our Executive Director for New Construction and Capital Projects.
I didn't think I was that tall. Good evening, Chairman Barrow, Mr. Jackson, board members, cabinet members. Congratulations, Dr. Levine. Get this pulled up. Before I get started, I brought with me as a commitment to the school board, the school district.
It's very hard to hear you, sir.
Yeah, excuse me.
Very hard.
Is that better?
Yes.
A lot better.
Thank you.
Okay, so as a commitment to the school district, the school board, everyone here, and everyone associated with our school district, we have the full capital department director, David Hogue. If you'd stand, David. David Hemstraut, who's our project manager. And then from Hill Construction, which is a contractor for Sangaree Middle and Cane Bay Middle, is CEO Gene Garrett, and then project manager Don Houghton. Would you please stand, gentlemen? And just to make my presentation brief, we're committed to completing both campus additions at Sangaree and Cane Bay by the 24th of November.
Yes.
And being ready for move-in by the time school starts in January.
It's great
Okay,
news.
thank you, gentlemen.
Great news. I don't even care if I'm clapping alone. That's exciting. Don't even care.
So Cane Bay is a 23,000 square foot addition with 10 classrooms, regular classrooms, 4 science rooms. The photo you see here is a little bit dated as the entire roof is now on and they're buttoning up all of the perimeter gutters and those things are going on. As of today on both campuses, we had our overhead inspection with OSF, and past that inspection, we were released to install the ceiling tiles in the building and close out our finishes. So everybody's in a full court press, me included, to make all of that happen by the 24th of November. We have on both campuses, on the 22nd of November and the 23rd of November, our final OSF inspections will be conducted those 2 days. Granted, we don't have any scheduling conflicts with the Office of School Facilities. Here's a photo of the interior of Cane Bay. We've progressed beyond this photo in the last 7 days. There's flooring put down on the floor. The finished coat of paint is going on, and we're feverishly trying to wrap these projects up. They're working on the exterior to get all of our landscaping prep, paving installed, and we're going like gangbusters, for lack of a better term, to pull this off. Here's the Sangaree School. This is an 8 classroom, regular classroom, 3 science rooms, 22,000 square foot addition on this campus. This picture is a little bit dated, but the sidewalks are in, paving is going on now, landscaping is being prepped to start as later on this week. And again, we're scheduled to complete this one along with the Cane Bay 1124 and be ready for move-in January. This is a shot down the corridor. As soon as tomorrow, we'll be putting in ceiling tile. Thumbs up in the back of the room. Our cabinetry and millwork are being installed in all of our science labs. We'll have tours with the principals this week or early next week, just to make sure there aren't any last-minute changes or modifications that need to be made. And moving on to the Carnes Crossroad project, are there any questions on Cane Bay or Sangaree?
Yes, sir. I have a couple of comments and maybe a question or two as well. Comment is I'm pleased that the move-in is going to be hopefully taking place over December break, over
Yes.
the Christmas break.
That is correct.
For occupancy by students second semester.
Yes.
That's correct.
That is correct.
That's good news, but over the course of the last couple of years, we've had presentations, and as I recall, the initial completion was going to be in time for the actual occupancy the beginning of this school year in August. It is now November, and we have not moved in yet. Then the next occupancy information we had was going to be mid-October. Now, it is past mid-October, and now the projected completion is November 24th. So, from my perspective, we've had delays, and I'm not completely satisfied with the rationale and the reasons for these delays. Could you expound upon those?
When I came on board, the completion date was October 15th. And in that time, I started in May, we had a rainy summer that affected interiors. We didn't have roofs at that point. And we've had some supply chain issues to overcome, and even COVID impact to staff on the job site. We've gotten to a point now where all of that has been resolved. We're all under roof. The weather doesn't affect the project. And the amount of workers required to complete the work while we're still ramping up aren't what it would have been 3-4 months ago. And we haven't gotten this overhead inspection at 3 o'clock today, where we're cleared to install all of our finishes. I do feel very confident, along with the contractor here present, that the 24th will not be missed.
Can you tell me how many weather days have been granted during this project?
For the month of June and July, there was 8 and 9 days, so it would have been right at 17 days.
For June and July?
Yes.
Do you know how many weather days have been granted during this whole process from
From the start.
start to now?
I don't have that number.
Could you get that number back to me?
I can.
Possibly, or
Yes.
the whole board? Could you email us?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
We're not going to be happy if we don't move in second semester. Trust me, we will not be satisfied. Our constituents deserve better. Our students deserve better.
And you'll get better. That's our commitment, is to provide better, do better every project, and make every week, every month better.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
On to the Carnes project, if there are no other questions. This is a new K-8 school. Contract awarded was $47,825,800. Our targeted completion date is the summer of 2023. EdCon Construction out of the upstate is our general contractor. This is just an overlay of the campus. Highway 176 would be to the east of the plan, and the Cane Bay community would be to the north of this plan. Excuse me. This is a photo of the site about 3 months ago when we got started. This is a photo of the site now. As of tomorrow, we should have a building pad in place. The contractor has rebar on site to start installing foundations and footings. the dewatering plan. I know there was a question at some time ago of how we would handle groundwater, which there has been quite a bit in that area. If you could see these trenches around the perimeter of the whole site, those trenches drained water away from the building pad and the building area, the construction area, and run over to drain everything over to the retention pond back in this area of the site. The weather has affected this project also. We haven't had any requests for days at this point, but we have had some impact to the earthwork being done in the area during those times. There hadn't been any impact to date that we know of, but we can't not anticipate something. And we're pressing forward to get started with our foundations and take the building vertical. And we're on schedule and on point at this point. I did mean to mention on the Cane Bay and Sangaree schools that even though we've had some challenges with time, we haven't had any change orders to increase the contract amount to date. Are any questions on Carnes?
That's good.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
All right.
To continue, last Thursday we hosted the first of 3 opportunities for our communities to review the maps related to the grade reconfiguration and attendance line changes proposed to impact the Berkeley High and Timberland High School feeder patterns. And that meeting was at Berkeley Middle School. There are 2 additional opportunities for those families that will be impacted by this potential move to review the maps and discuss the proposals. Those meetings will be held on November 2nd at Whitesville Elementary and November 8th at Macedonia Middle. Both meetings will begin at 6 p.m. And finally, the last board meeting received a request to look into information regarding e-learning days and the possibility of using those days in November, possibly around the Thanksgiving break. And it was determined by staff that it would be most beneficial for our instructional program to designate Monday, November 29th as an e-learning day. This day will provide our staff with an opportunity to prepare for students returning from their Thanksgiving break and provide additional time for planning for the remaining weeks prior to the semester break. Additionally, this provides an opportunity for our staff to schedule time to work with students who may need some additional support and intervention. Therefore, it's the request and recommendation of the administration to designate Monday, November 29th, 2021 as a district-wide e-learning day for students. Staff will report to their schools and offices.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the administration's recommendation for an e-learning day on November 29th, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner and a second from Ms. Wofford to have an e-learning day on November 29th following the Thanksgiving holiday. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion will respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries by a vote of 8-0.
Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. I have a couple of items for the board. Number one, several years ago, the prior board entered into an agreement with McCrell International for a superintendent evaluation instrument, and that instrument has been effective. We believe that it is an evaluation that should continue. And since we have several new board members and we all could probably benefit from an additional training, we are going to have a training, and I'm going to ask for each of you to contact me if you would prefer Monday, January 10th at 6 o'clock. That's the Monday prior to the board meeting in January. Or if you would prefer a meeting early on the regular board meeting date at 4 o'clock. So we could do two days back to back, one the McCrell training and the other the regular board meeting, or we could start early at 4 o'clock and continue on with the regular board meeting. So we will be going forward with the McCrell instrument. We feel like that it's the proper training, and it's also the proper evaluation instrument for superintendents. So that's information for the board members. So contact me personally, please. The other is, you may or may not know that October 24th through 31st is Red Ribbon Week in Berkeley County. And there's a proclamation that I'd like to read, and then we would like a motion to adopt this into the Berkeley County program. So the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas alcohol and other drug abuse in our nation has reached epidemic stages, and whereas it is imperative that visible, unified prevention education efforts by community members be launched to eliminate the demands for drugs, and whereas the Berkeley County Prevention Board is sponsoring the Red Ribbon Campaign, offering citizens the opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to drug-free lifestyles, no use of illegal drugs, no use of legal drugs, and whereas the National Red Ribbon Campaign will be celebrated in every community in America during Red Ribbon Week, October 24th through 31st, and whereas business, government, parents, law enforcement, media, religious institutions, schools, senior citizens, service organizations, and youth will demonstrate their commitment to healthy, drug-free lifestyles by wearing and displaying red ribbons during this week-long campaign, and whereas the Berkeley County School District further commits its resources to ensure the success of the Red Ribbon Campaign. Now therefore be it resolved that the Berkeley County School District does hereby proclaim the week of October 24th through 31st as Red Ribbon Week in Berkeley County, and encourages its citizens to participate in drug prevention education activities, making a visible statement that we are strongly committed to a drug-free county. I'll entertain a motion to adopt this proclamation.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt the proclamation as read, establishing October 24th through 31st, 2021 as Red Ribbon Week in Berkeley County.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Wofford and a second from Ms. Tanner to adopt this proclamation. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it unanimously by a vote of 8-0. Finally, I would be remiss if we did not thank the College Park cadre that's here today. And I will say that the principal, Ms. Ingrid Dukes, is at a meeting in, I think it's Title I meeting in Myrtle Beach, and cannot be here. She sends her regrets. But I think, I may be speaking out of turn, but I believe that Ingrid Dukes is the longest-serving current principal in the Berkeley County School District. I think she's been here in this school for 23 years. So she's done a great job, and we miss her being here tonight. Nevertheless, we also have our two assistant principals. If y'all will stand, we have Dr. Leslie Howder and Mr. Justin Matthews. Thank you all for being here. I know you don't get overtime, but I appreciate you being here, and thank you for hosting us. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to...
Wait. I have something to say.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Permission to speak.
Granted.
I would be remiss if we didn't mention that a certain someone sitting at the certain hotspot tonight has a 75th birthday this evening. Doctor. Mr. Barrow.
They used to call me Doc.
Chairman Barrow, happy birthday. There is a cake. There is a cake in the back of the room to celebrate with our chairman when we do adjourn. So I move to adjourn, sir.
Second. All for K.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner and a second from Ms. Wofford to adjourn. Is there any discussion?
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? We are adjourned.